Alright, I'm helping a customer with a JAWS. We're going to check the flipper switches. This might apply to some other Stern games, so it could be helpful for multiple people. So to get started, especially if you're new to pinball, let's go ahead and go through how to take the glass off and that kind of thing. So your game came with keys. We got ours on a hook here. When it was new, they would have been cable tied right here. Go ahead and open up the coin door. Inside, if you peek in, you'll see some metal latches holding the lockdown bar on. Flip those up and unlatch the lockdown bar. Pull it straight up. Close the door, set this aside. Now you're going to slide the glass out. Set it on a soft surface such as carpet, cardboard, towel. I'm going to do my protective corner since I got a concrete floor here. I think this customer has already run a switch test and tested the flipper buttons, but if you haven't done that yet, you could try it now before adjusting anything. But I'm going to go ahead and go to the next step. It's going to be helpful to lift up the playfield so we can see better. In order to do that, we want to take the balls out so they don't fall out when we tilt up the playfield. With the game powered off, if you put your fingers right here, you can push up and get the balls out. Push hard. There are 6 balls in this game. Once you have all 6 balls removed, I'm going to show you how to lift the playfield. I like to close the door to get it out of the way. Lift from right here, straight up to get it started. You'll see there's 2 metal service rails. You can use those to grab. Pull the playfield forward like this. When it gets to this point, start to fold it back. And it's made to rest on the back rods. Now we can see the flipper buttons and switches from the inside. Buttons should push in and then spring back into place when you let go of it. The switch itself is helping it spring back into place, so the switch needs to be in place in order for it to spring out. I think for this customer, when he pushes the button in, it's not springing back out and the button's not registering. So let's take a close look at what it should look like. You've got like a switch stack here. So you've got several like spacers basically, and then you've got a long leaf switch, then a shorter one with that contact on it. See that little diagonal piece? That's the contact. Then another short piece that has the other part of the contact. When these 2 contacts touch, that's what registers the switch to flip the flipper. And then you have what's called a stiffener. This metal piece with the bend at the end helps keep this piece stiff so it doesn't flail around too much. You have 2 screws with 1/4-inch hex heads. You can also use a flathead screwdriver on it. They should both be in place and tight. And then at the end, you should have a wire going to each one of these lugs. It should be soldered in place. And notice how the switch stack lines up with this flipper button. This piece of metal right here is touching the red piece on the flipper button. Now I'll show you what happens when I push the button. See how the 2 contacts touch? This is what it should look like. Let's look at some things that we can adjust. So I think for this customer, maybe this whole switch stack is kind of off to the side and the button's not even really contacting it. So what I would do is loosen these screws. You can use a 1/4-inch nut driver like I have, or if you don't have one, that's fine. You can use a flathead screwdriver. They have a slot in the middle. Just loosening them a little bit gives you some wiggle room to adjust it. So say this was shoved off to the side like that, and then the button... Okay, sorry, we got, my colleague is unloading games and sliding metal ramps around in the back. Alright, so say it was off to the side like this, and then you push the button and it doesn't return and it doesn't register the switch. That might be kind of what happened here. So you'd loosen the screws and make sure the button is positioned over the switch and then retighten the screws. And then from there you might need to straighten out or bend the metal leaf switches if they're not already adjusted. So once again, there should be a space between these two contacts, and then when you push the button, the contacts touch. That's the goal. It does not have to be millimeter perfect, but there's a couple ways you can adjust those. I use a simple switch adjuster, which is just a tool with a slot in the end. You may not have those around, so you could make do with pliers or even just your fingers. In a pinch, I will sometimes just adjust these with my fingers and it's just fine. But let's say the gap is too big and the contacts never touch, therefore the button's not working. You want to grab the shorter part of the switch along with the stiffener, and you want to grab it as close to the stack as possible. So say it's too far apart, you would bend it just like this to bend it closer together. You might have to overcorrect a little bit because it'll spring back into place. Let's say it's too close and it's touching all the time. Then you would grab it from here and bend it away till it's a little more open. And once you get it about like mine, where it closes when you touch the button, and now we got a leaf blower in the background, this is how my day's going, then it should be fine. So this is an adjustment you could probably make on your own once you see how it works and what needs to be done. It's pretty low tech. It's just a couple screws and a couple of flexible pieces of metal. Just to show you the other side, it's basically a mirror image of that left side. Same exact concept. You got a switch stack. You got, well, okay, so in the case of JAWS, it is a little bit different. So on JAWS, there's two right flippers. So it has two switches, so you got 4 wires. So let's go ahead and look at this switch. So there's 2 sets of contacts. You've got, between these 2 leaves, there's a set of contacts, and between these 2. If we're being particular on this game, that set of contacts towards the outside of the game is a little bit narrower than the next set. This game still works just fine, but just as a demonstration, I'll even out the gaps a little bit. So if I want to make this gap a little bit bigger to match the other one, I would bend this leaf a little bit. There we go. I would call that close enough. There's no need to go crazy with bending it. All right, so you can see when I push that button in, both sets of contacts touch. So on this game, both buttons should work just fine, but let's go ahead and test and show how to make sure they both work. All right, so I'll go ahead and show putting the playfield back down. Grab the metal rails, fold it forward. The back end will start sliding away from you, that's fine. When you get to about here, you'll encounter a bump. Just give it a little extra push. From here, you can continue to lower it back into place. Now I'm going to grab the 6 balls and gently set them on the playfield. Just check that they rolled all the way down where they need to go. Go ahead and power the game on. We could do this next part with the glass on or off. I'll go ahead and slide it on while it's powering on. Line the lockdown bar up with the holes. It'll be pretty self-explanatory in person. Then reach in and grab the latches, flip them into place, and lock them down. It helps to go ahead and close the coin door while it's finishing booting. there's a little switch that enables the full voltage it needs to boot all the way. Now that it's booted up and the start button's flashing, we're going to go into switch test. So open the coin door. You'll notice the game goes dark, but we're going to pull the interlock switch, which is going to allow us to test those switches while the door's open. We're going to use the menu buttons, so black is enter. These two red buttons are right and left, and then green is back. So hit that black button to enter the menu. Black again, black again, black again, and black again. So it's basically like 5 black buttons to get into switch test, which is pretty handy. And let's go ahead and try the flipper buttons. So you notice I push it. Several things happen. If I press and hold, it says right flipper button. Both of my right flippers flip. And then when I release, it says right flipper EOS, which stands for end of stroke. That's a little switch on the bottom side of the flipper mechanism. So this is working correctly. Let's try the left. So if I press and hold, left flipper button, left flipper flips, and I release, it says left flipper EOS. So if yours is working now, then you are all finished. If you have any further questions, just reach out and we'll continue to help you how we can.